25th, 1876. The day the 7th Cavalry died. But what if not all of them did? History says Captain Thomas Custer, Medal of Honor hero, brother of the infamous General Custer, was killed at Little Bighorn. His body was found, or was it? Strange reports emerged after the battle. Scouts claimed they saw a wounded officer dragged away alive. Soldiers whispered of a secret ransom demand. Even his own family questioned the truth. What really happened to Thomas Custer? Did he vanish into the wilderness? Was he taken captive? Or does his ghost still walk these bloody plains waiting to be found? Stick with us to the end, because what you're about to hear changes everything. But before we continue, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. In the shadow of his famous brother, George Armstrong Custer, lies the story of a man whose bravery was unparalleled, yet often forgotten. Captain Thomas Ward Custer, the first U.S. soldier to receive 2 Medals of Honor for separate acts of valor, a cavalryman who fought fiercely in the Civil War and the Indian Wars, and a loyal brother who met his fate alongside his siblings at the Battle of the Little Bighorn. This is the story of Thomas Custer, a soldier, a hero, and a legend in his own right. Captain Thomas Ward Custer was a United States Army officer and the younger brother of General George Armstrong Custer. He is best known for being the first U.S. soldier to be awarded 2 Medals of Honor for distinct acts of bravery during the American Civil War. Born on March 15, 1845, in Ohio, Thomas Custer grew up in a patriotic family. When the Civil War erupted, he enlisted in the Union Army at just 16 years old, lying about his age to serve. By 1864, he had risen through the ranks, becoming an officer in the 6th Michigan Cavalry. In April 1865, near the war's end, Thomas performed 2 incredible acts of heroism. At the Battle of Namazine Church, he single-handedly charged enemy lines, capturing a Confederate regimental flag, an act that earned him his first Medal of Honor. Just days later, at the Battle of Sailor's Creek, he did it again, charging through gunfire, wounded, and seizing another Confederate flag. For this, he received his 2nd Medal of Honor, becoming one of only 19 men in history to achieve this distinction. After the Civil War, Thomas followed his brother George into the 7th Cavalry, fighting in the brutal Indian Wars of the West. He was known as a fearless and disciplined officer, respected by his men. While George became the famous and controversial Custer, Thomas remained a steadfast soldier, participating in campaigns against the Cheyenne and Sioux. He was with George at the Washita Massacre in 1868, a dark chapter in U.S. Native American relations. On June 25, 1876, the 7th Cavalry, led by George Custer, attacked a massive encampment of Lakota Sioux and Cheyenne warriors at the Little Bighorn River. Thomas, serving as his brother's aide, was among the 200 men who rode into what would become one of the most infamous defeats in U.S. military history. As the battle turned into a desperate last stand, Thomas fought fiercely beside George. Eyewitness accounts from native warriors later described a soldier matching Thomas's description, fighting to the very end, his body found near his brother's. Thomas, George, and their younger brother, Boston Custer, were all killed. The news shocked the nation, immortalizing George, but leaving Thomas's legacy in the shadows. Thomas Custer's story is one of extraordinary courage overshadowed by history. He was a double Medal of Honor recipient, a devoted soldier, and a man who stood by his family until the end. Today, few remember his name, but his medals and military records stand as proof of his heroism. In a time of legends, Thomas Custer was more than just Custer's brother. He was a warrior in his own right. In the early 1870s, Thomas joined expeditions to the Yellowstone River, scouting routes for the Northern Pacific Railroad. These missions were fraught with tension. Lakota Sioux warriors, led by Sitting Bull, resisted encroachment on their lands. During the 1873 skirmish near the Tongue River, Thomas again proved his mettle, helping repel Lakota attacks. His brother's official reports praised him, but privately, George fretted over Thomas's recklessness in combat. The following year, Thomas accompanied the Black Hills expedition, which discovered gold, igniting a rush that violated treaties with the Lakota. The stage was set for war. By 1876, the U.S. government ordered the 7th Cavalry to force nomadic tribes onto reservations. Thomas, now a seasoned captain, rode into the Montana Territory with George's battalion, unaware of the gathering storm. On June 25, 1876, George split his regiment, sending Thomas with Company C under Captain Keogh. As they approached the Little Bighorn River, thousands of Lakota and Cheyenne warriors awaited death at the Battle of the Little Bighorn. Thomas Ward Custer was only 31 years old. He had survived the bloodiest battles of the Civil War, but now, on the banks of the Little Bighorn River, he faced an enemy unlike any before. Thomas had always fought alongside his brother. During the Civil War, he earned his first Medal of Honor by seizing a Confederate flag at Namazine Church. Days later, he did it again at Sailor's Creek, an act of bravery so rare it made him a legend. Tom Custer was fearless. He rode straight into enemy fire, daring them to stop him. Sergeant John Custer, 7th Cavalry. But the Plains Wars were different. The Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors were fighting for their homeland, and they would not retreat. Custer split his forces, sending Captain Frederick Benteen and Major Marcus Reno to attack the village from different angles. Thomas stayed with George, leading Company C into what they thought would be a quick victory. But the village was massive, thousands of warriors ready to fight. Within minutes, Reno's men were overwhelmed and forced to retreat. Custer's battalion, including Thomas, rode straight into a trap. Surrounded on all sides, the 7th Cavalry fought desperately. Thomas, ever the fearless soldier, fired his pistol until his ammunition ran out. Eyewitnesses later said he fought hand-to-hand just as he had in the Civil War. Archaeological studies show the final moments were brutal. Thomas fell near his brother, his body identified only by a tattoo of his initials, TWC. The Custers lay close together. Tom's face was unrecognizable, but the tattoo told us it was him. Sergeant Charles Windolph, 7th Cavalry. When reinforcements arrived 2 days later, they found a horrific scene. Over 200 men, including George, Thomas, and their younger brother Boston, had been killed. The Lakota and Cheyenne called it the Battle of the Greasy Grass. History remembers it as Custer's last stand. Thomas Custer was buried with full military honors. Though overshadowed by his brother's fame, his legacy remains. A soldier who fought with unmatched bravery only to meet his end on a lonely hill in Montana. Today, Thomas Custer rests in peace beside his brother at West Point. Yet while George's name lives in infamy, Thomas's story is often forgotten. A man who earned 2 Medals of Honor before the age of 21, only to die at 31 in a battle that defined the West. Captain Thomas Custer didn't just die at Little Bighorn. He vanished. His body was found. Yes, but the real story. The whispers say something far darker happened that day. Something hidden in the blood-soaked grass. Something the government didn't want you to know. Why were his wounds different from the others? Why did some survivors refuse to speak of him? And why, years later, did a sealed Army file on Thomas Custer suddenly disappear? Was he reckless, courageous, a product of his time? Whatever the answer, one fact remains. Thomas Custer's legacy is not just as Custer's brother, but as one of the most decorated soldiers in American history. This isn't the end. It's only the beginning. Because next time we expose the buried truth, the secret they killed to keep hidden. Do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you on the next one.